my God. And without any further ado, we have Dr. Mo himself. It's a great body I respect so much. So many people don't know some part of you, except those of us that are close to you. And those of us that are close to you do call you Mad Mo. You know, thank God for the past election. I'm talking about presidential election 2023, this year election. That really brought you to limelight. But some people don't know you've been there. I think 2019 you contested for House of Rep, Benue State. But thank God he won. Even though he's not in the House of Rep now, he won. But I think Yoruba will say something that I don't need don't ask me for that minute. I want to specially welcome Dr. Mo. Dr. Mo, welcome specially to this Impact. Let's meet you better. Let's the audience know more about you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Iwa. It's so good to be here. I've been looking forward to being here, even though I couldn't catch you while this was 7 or 8 weeks ago while we were in the UK. But this is Dr. Mo, like you rightly said. I'm many things. I'm a youth organizer. I'm a mobilizer. I'm a politician. I'm an activist. I'm a business entrepreneur. I come with different caps, and of course, I'm a preacher of the word of God too, in such an unusual way. So I'm excited. I come with a lot of experience in terms of, the different genres of life that I've engaged with that can really help the young people. Of course, I was a mobilization officer and the official MC for the Obidadi Campaign Council at the 2023 general election. Also a spokesperson for the Big Tent, which is the independent campaign council, of the Obidati organization. And I played a very critical role in going around the country just to ensure that we had shape the narrative of the young people, especially where the obedient movement is concerned. Held several town hall meetings, and just in the last 12 months, it's been so hectic. But like you rightly said, I've been there doing nation building, helping young people to gain clarity where purpose is concerned. And in the last maybe 20 years of my life. So yeah, I'm a musician. I have 4 albums. I've traveled around the world. But so many people know different aspects of who I am, but in a nutshell, this is who Dr. Mo is. Yes, and I have a PhD in environmental resource planning. I am an environmental remediation expert. I hate stereotype, and yes, I can also compare your. I can be a master of ceremony, a very bad one too. So I come with a lot of experience in this genre too help young people especially gain clarity and help people be able to I'm a father of 2 beautiful lovely girls, so I can help counsel in a lot of ways where business is concerned, where family is concerned, where nation building is concerned, where political engagement is concerned. So tonight I believe is going to be a very good time to be able to engage with us, where the context of what you call the economic, political, or social, religious context of Africa and Nigeria is concerned. So let's do it. This is who I am.
Nice meeting you, Dr. Mo. I refuse to introduce that aspect that you are a pastor. I wanted people to hear themselves, and I'm happy you were able to say it. He's the general overseer of my church, and by the grace of God, I was privileged to be in your first meeting edition. The first edition, the inauguration, we were there together. That was January 1st, was it 2020? I remember there in Guaripa. Thank God that God has been.
Yes, 2019.
19. Yeah, it's a privilege. I'm excited. I was part of, the thank God for what the ministry do. Now, my first question to you: how come? I do tell people, not I tell people, or this saying that a woman that refuses to rule will suffer the misrule of an idiot. You are a Christian. I'm not trying to bring religion into our nation. The truth remains, we complain about leadership. We complain your problems in our nation is bad leadership. Why is it that many Christians, if you are waking up now, but you are a pastor and you are a politician, you are many things, but you are into politics, and it is obvious Obiati movement, you are one of the people that play the key roles. You always there, even as the anchor man. So, what do you say to young Christians? Because if you don't take charge, you can never be in charge. And not to be in charge, it will be discharged without a charge. What advice do you have for young Christians, moral people? Let me not be Christian now. People that believe they are sensible, good people in code about politics. What, especially when Nigeria is concerned, what is the role of Christian young believers, moral people, good people, people of vision, people of passion? What role do you play in politics to make a better nation?
This is one of the most important questions that any believer, but like you said, beyond that, any African and any Nigerian can engage with in this particular cycle that we are in right now. I'll begin by saying that when we talk about good governance, when we talk about leadership, the road to good governance and leadership is called politics. And it is important because many people and Christians alike need to understand that the value of governance, where government is, the validation to have your spiritual or religious institution is embedded in government. Every CFO that you have, every church validation, even when you conduct weddings and marriages in your church, until the government gives you validation, the certificate that you give for that is validated by government. The registration of your church is in government. And so I'm going to speak to Christians and I'm going to speak to Nigerians to understand, based on what you said. Anywhere you see Israel in the Bible, what it means in terms of domestication in Nigeria is Nigeria. Everywhere you see Israel, you must replace it with Nigeria. This is the true essence, because at the end of the day, what God wants you to do is not to change the land of Israel, but to change Nigeria. And the only way you can be a good Christian is to impact your land. That being said, remember I'd mentioned that the validation for you to even be able to operate as a church is given to you by government. What it means is that through which all the other gates of can be impacted upon. Whether you take whether you participate in governance or not, it determines the school you go to. It determines the kind of family you have. It determines your economy. It determines your culture, the sports, every engagement that you have. It is what your nation, the president of your nation represents your nation. It is the international treaties and agreements and communiques that your country is signed on to. That is what represents you. Therefore, I will challenge every born again Christian and every person that bears the name Nigeria to actively participate in the governance process, which is politics. Because, like we say, garbage in, garbage out. If all the good people becomes pastors, who will become the policeman? Who will become the politician? Who will become the governor? Who will become the president? The onus lies on us as believers and as Nigerians of good moral values to participate in politics, because it is in participating that we will raise all the gates and institutions. Whatever you think you want to be, if you don't have good governance, if we don't have people who will govern the state, who will govern the country, who will make laws in terms of our legislations. These are all people who must go into politics, who will emerge, to make our laws, to make all the things that will allow for us to be good citizens and be able to represent the country, whether in terms of music, whether in terms of our cultural heritage, whether in terms of leadership, in terms of nations representation. It is this road that we must take. So everybody must participate for us to have what? To have a good nation. Because again, the problem of the nation is a problem of its leadership. Leadership are the people that will channel and allow us to be able to the vision that we need to be able to rule a nation. So, and I know we're going to engage more, but I'm saying that if you are a child of God, if you are a Nigerian and you don't participate in politics, you are not even, you can't even be a true child of God. You can't even be a true Nigerian if you don't participate, because that is the road that will make us, that will bring us out and allow us to shine the values that we have learned as children of God and as Nigerians, morally speaking.
Thank you, Dr. Mo. I so much love that. Also, let me just deviate a bit. I believe we have some people who are not really Nigerians watching this movie, watching this live broadcast. And I just want to extend that to also say it goes beyond just Nigeria. Whatever country you emanated from, you need to be part of a nation building. You need to contribute to your country. You know, the Bible says, pray for the peace of Israel, pray for the peace of Nigeria, pray for the peace of Ghana, pray for the peace of United Kingdom, pray for your country, and you know, shine the fruit of Bishop. I'm coming back to you. I know you have a lot of questions for our host, but before I allow Bishop will take the next question. I just want to ask Dr. Mo, let's talk about politics now, which we started from. What can you say about church and politics in Nigeria? Is church really taking its in leadership in the country? Is church really playing its role? Because in Israel, like you mentioned, you know, we have King all prophet Samuel to go, you know, we beat the why in Nigeria. It's like we say, I'm sorry, I may be wrong. I stand to be correct. I just want to before I allow Bishop to talk. As church taking its in the role of leadership in Nigeria, does church even really have mouth? You know, let me use that street language. Do we have mouth when it comes to choosing a leader in our dear nation, Nigeria? Then compared to, let's hear that one. Bishop, please get ready for your next question.
Thank you very much. I think this is where, again, the 2023 general election played a very critical role in Nigeria's tapestry in terms of our politics and our journey, because this is the first time where you have women, young people, pastors alike, actively speaking up and taking their rightful place where the elections and politics are concerned. Of course, like you rightly said, before now, we have left the terrain of politics completely to people who are non-church people. But I think we're beginning to wake up. And I will say it here loud and clear that wherever you are, the church is supposed to play a very, very critical role in politics. The church is the moral compass of any nation. It is the standard bearers. This is where we go to learn the values and virtues of life in terms of honesty, sincerity, integrity, rule and of engagement. How come after doing all of that, teaching all of that, you will not, where do you practice the values we learn in church? It is in politics, it is in governance, it is in our place of work. So it is important more than ever before for the church to play a critical role in politics wherever you find yourself, whichever nation you find yourself is very important, because if the church plays takes its place in terms of politics, the corruption that we see today, the endemic nature of the barbaric, what Peter B calls rascality that we see in our governance today will not be there. It is important. So it is important for the church to be a key role player, to take its course, to mandate, its people, to train her people, not to only engage in elections, but to take part in elective positions. The church is supposed to even have a candidate, for goodness sake. And I've said it, and I will explain a bit even more later. If you are teaching people morality, you are teaching people character, the church might not come out to say, vote for this person, but the church will say, vote for character, vote for competence, vote for vision, vote for honesty, vote for that is taking your place. This is what the church must do, because, like the scripture says, When the city, when the righteous take its place, when the righteous prospers, you know what? The city will rejoice. But any nation that the church does not take its place, what you're going to have rulers who do not have the moral character to rule the nation. And any nation that does not have people of morality leading that nation is going to face a lot of challenges because of all the calamities that can befall a nation. Morality is one that will be very difficult for a nation to rise up. A nation can rise up from the collapse of our economy. A nation can rise up from any kind of impunity. But when the morality, the moral code of a nation is affected, where sincerity, where honesty, where black is called white and white is called black, it will take a generation of going through hurdles of character reformation for that nation to rise. So, yes, the church is play a critical role in nation building. The church is supposed to take a critical role where policies are concerned. And the only way it can do that is to take its place in politics, because politics is the road through which you can have good governance and good government.
Thank you so much. Bishop, let's hear you out. Please, our audience, if you have any questions, just drop it on the comment. If you have any question for Madmo, as in Dr. Moses, please drop it on the comment section and I'm going to help you to amplify it. Thank you. Bishop, let's hear you out.
Dr. Mo, good evening.
Good evening, Bishop. So good to be here with you.
Yeah, I greet you benevolently and bidigaciously. Okay. Okay, so my question is this: as a Nigerian youth, I see the youth have been struggling politically since we're focusing more on the political aspect. I don't want to go into the religion aspect of it because of the kind of people that are watching. Some are Christians and some are not. So let's still focus on the political aspect of it. Now, youths have been struggling politically. Do you think, as an ambassador of the youth, let me call you that, as an ambassador of the youth, do you think there is hope for youth politically in this country? And when I'm talking about the youth, I'm not talking about these criminals that are coming, that are youths, but under the umbrellas of those that have been pulling down the nations on this. I'm talking about the real, genuine youth. Do you think there is hope for us as a youth in this nation politically?
Thank you. There has never been any time in the history of Nigeria, Africa, or nations around the world for the young people like the time that we're in right now. We do not only have a chance, but even in context, the 2023 general election shows clearly that whatever the young people want, they will get. And I'm using the context of Nigeria for those who are watching so they can understand critically where we are. 70% of Nigeria's population are young people. It means that young people own the day. You know, there are three key elements I'm going to mention here, which I know that once the youth activate in the next cycle of elections, they are going to completely take over the helm of affairs. So in 2023 in Nigeria, for example, the youth were awakened. They were there was so much, the engagement in terms of participation of the young people. As of 2019, we had about 84 million registered voters. Right now, there were 10 million more that were added because of the awareness that was created. And if you look at the values in terms of the winning figures that were given, you will see that the youth alone have the power to overrun, to take over government. There has been never any time in the history in Africa that the youth are more prepared or ripe to take over governance than now. The only thing that the youth needs to understand is that to take over power is much more than just participating and casting your vote. The two other things that the youth didn't do in Nigeria's context is that the youth didn't negotiate the power and they did not protect their votes. Once the youths do that, whoever it is that the youth want will be at the helms of the affairs right now, because the voting or election is by majority, and the young people are the majority in the country. And in terms of all the African setting, and even globally right now, if you look at the age range between 18 and 35, globally, it is the young people. What they need to do is to study and understand and have what I call the power of consistency. And I'm saying this with Nigeria in mind so that they can understand that what happened during the 23 general election is just the beginning. In terms of reality, the young people won the election. What the young people must not do is not giving up. They must have perseverance. They must have the power of consistency. They must garner the wins of what they've already achieved. You know, what they've done, they must build upon what they've done. If they do that, I can tell you, in the next 4 years in Nigeria, whoever the young people galvanize will be the president of Nigeria. And this can be applied to anywhere in the world. Actually, in reality, young people have consistently led nations across the world. If you look at the people we call, for example, our founding fathers, they were all young people. Sir Ahmadu Bello, Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe. Nnamdi Azikiwe was the oldest, he was 40 years old. That is a young person. If you look at Yakubu Gowon, even during the military era, Yakubu Gowon was what? Was 29. The people who took Nigeria to civil war, they are all in their 20s. They are all young people. They are all children, if you excuse my language there. It tells you one thing, that young people have always shaped the narrative of nations and governance. It's only that in this particular era and time, young people need to add perseverance. They need to add, they need to understand that just a one-time shot is not enough. If you look at the evolution of things from the NSAS movement to the obedient movement, young people have always led the way. If you look at the what you call the Kwankwasia movement, it is young people. Even Nigeria's current president, too, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the people that placed him, they are young people. Young people just need to have their own, and they would overturn the entire economy and the entire landscape of governance. So all over the world, especially now that in developed countries, you're having people like Emmanuel Macron, who are just in their early 40s, who actually became president he was 38 or 39, young boy. I mean, I'm older than Emmanuel Macron. That is to tell you that if that can happen in developed country, I can tell you that in the next 5 to 10 years, a person who is less than 40 years can be Nigeria's president. We have the number, we have the energy, we have the creativity, we have all that it will take. And lastly, I would say this, that the problem that Nigeria and Africa and the global problem we are facing right now, it is because young people have not fully taken their place. Who are the people creating the problem? Again, I come back to Africa and to Nigeria. When you look at the Boko Haram and the terrorists and the bandits, they are all within the ages of what? 18 and 35. The only energy that can match that is the young people. The day a 35-year-old become a governor or a president, because he understands what it takes to be able to, energy by energy, creativity by creativity, deal with the problems of the land. But in submission, the young people have never had a better chance to take over governance and leadership like they have right now, because we have been gifted with the power of technology. Look at where we are. Bishop, you are in a different place. AY is in a different place. I'm in a different place, and we are converging. We never had this opportunity 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 15 years ago. We have been gifted with the critical tools to be able to harness and take over governance as young people more than any time in the history of humanity.
Thank you, Dr. Mo. Bishop, let me pause you a bit. Let's take this discussion to another level. As a pastor, I read the 10 top pastors in the world, and I discovered that I think 5 to 7 are from Nigeria or from Africa. But when you talk about the richest churches in the world, I don't think Nigeria made the first 5 or the first. But it's becoming obvious that individual pastors, are becoming richer than the church. And In Nigeria, let's take Nigeria for example. We have the biggest auditorium in Nigeria, the richest pastor in Nigeria. But yeah, the poorest members are in Nigeria. What is wrong? In those days when Christ was there, we call it apostolic doctrine, where people said their things. There is, they share it according to individuals' needs. But we discovered that in today's Christianity, especially in Africa, I mean, the UK is a bit different there. That is the truth. The way they run churches here is a bit different. They actually run churches here like NGO, not governmental, non-profit organization. That is the truth. It's far better than Nigeria. But you discover in Nigeria, individual pastors, I'm not against Pastor Bill Rich. I know that, but you discover that a pastor can be a multi-billionaire, but still in the same congregation, you have the poorest members suffering and no business. So what is wrong? What do you think is the problem? Please.
What we're practicing in Nigeria is not the, and I put it very loosely, is not the template that Jesus left. What we're practicing in Nigeria these are business empires. This is why you are seeing the result of what you're seeing. If we practice Christianity the way Jesus wants us to practice it, there is no pastor that will be boasting about having so much money in their bank accounts and then you are having what you're having. Jesus was so much like his people that they didn't even know him because he had no special sitting position in church. His clothes were not different from the clothes of his disciples. That is why they had to ensure that they bribed their way through, got somebody to kiss him so that they can know. But today, if you come into church, you know who Papa is, you know who Mama is. You can tell who is who. You can tell who is who straight. But what we need to do is we have to retrace back our steps again, especially with the Nigerian church, because more than ever before, the poverty rate in Nigeria right now ranks to the high heavens. And like you rightly said, we have pastors who we have jets and houses, and it's an aberration. It shouldn't be like that. If you preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, you cannot be rich while your members are poor. At best, you will have created, an even, because these are the values of the scripture. These are the values of Jesus Christ. When we talk about equity, when we talk about poverty alleviation, when we talk about zero hunger, all the things you see as part of the sustainable development goals, these are things that were taken from scripture. So you can see that international organizations are even practicing the laws of God much more than the churches that we have in Nigeria, where you have pastors who boast of building cathedrals and have chains of cars and this is what you're seeing in the church, is a replication of what you're seeing even in the political circle. So it is important for us to come back again to our value system, to come back again, to retrace back our step to where we are in terms of morality, because you can't look at what Jesus said. Jesus, even the Bible, if you read through the Bible and you engage with the things that Jesus did, you will understand that the Christianity in Nigeria clearly has, we've gone into doctrinal issues. We're talking about prophecies. We're talking about things, that are completely an aberration, to the word of God itself. The word of God is meant to heal individuals and to bring communities and to raise the value of communities. What you have in the UK, in the US, and other places, that's where Christ is being practiced. There is no way. So it's a complete aberration. And for those who are here and they're listening, if you go on Amazon and you read The Pillars of Truth, my book that I released in 2019, you will see clearly these questions, and you will see the disparities, and you understand the difference between Christ and Christianity vis-a-vis those who are doing the work of God versus some of the people that we call emojis today. Because Jesus made it very, very, very clearly, that when he was teaching and a lawyer asked him a question, he said, "What must I do to be saved?" And Jesus said, "Thou shalt love the Lord your God with the whole of your heart and with the whole of your might." And he gave that something. And then the guy said, that who is my neighbor? And he said that at a particular day that a man was beaten to the point of death. But what happened? He said the Levi came and passed, the priest came and passed. That is the pastor and the and those who, in quotes, musicians who are going to church. But he said a certain Samaritan, which means that our service to humanity is our worship to God. I think the Nigerian church has a lot to do in terms of her morality and the way it has cater for her people. Something needs to change in terms of how we've run the Nigerian church. And you can see the reflection in where we are, even as a nation, where we have the tenets of the Bible, the characters of Christ being practiced. You will see that vis-a-vis where the nation is, you will see a change in our economy, you will see a change in our political sector, you see a change in our banking sector. There is no way you can have churches the way we have in Nigeria where you shouldn't have a corresponding effect in the lives of people. It is an aberration, and it's something that we need to challenge, something that we need to speak against to ensure that we have true Christian soldiers rising up to taking their place, even in church in Nigeria.
Dr. Mo, so if I'm not mistaken, in summary, Bishop, you are taking the next question. In summary, the problem in Nigeria or in Africa now, church in Nigeria are part of the problem. I think that is the summary of what you are saying. In Nigeria, or the church in Nigeria contributed greatly to the problem we are facing in Nigeria, because the way we run church in Nigeria is totally different from the Bible. That is just the summary of what Dr. Mo just said. Bishop, any question for Dr. Mo?
Yeah, I was about concluding the other parts of the question before you came in with this one. Dr. Mo, you made mention of two things. You made mention of perseverance and not giving up as a youth. All right. So my question is this: as a result of the last election, just like you rightly said that the youth came out in mass and they had one voice and they knew what they wanted and they wanted to go out for it. But too bad, somehow the opportunity was not given to them. It was snatched away from them. Do you ever think that that same youth is as a result of the two words you use, not giving up and perseverance? Do you think that we're going to have these same numbers of youth come out when the opportunity comes again? Because the reason why I'm saying this is this: I, as an individual, I think this will be that movement that the second time I'm casting my vote in the whole of my life. The first one was during Jonathan's second tenure against Buhari, and this time around, I don't think I'm going. I don't even know where I kept my voters card again. I don't intend voting again right now as a result of what happened in the last election. And not just me, some few friends of mine, even a friend of mine had to stop going to church because he's putting his blame on God, that God did not do what he was supposed to do to give Obi that election. I'm being serious about it. So do you think we're going to have this numbers? Do you think we're going to have this massive crowd come out for that same thing that we're being robbed of this time around? I don't think so. But the question is, it's open. What do you think?
It's a very, very good question, and I can tell you, my organization has already started a campaign against voter apathy. ANC started over 100 years ago. Between when ANC started in South Africa and when Mandela became president, it took about 84 years. 84 years. Between when Rosa Parks stood up and Martin Luther King and Obama, between Rosa Parks and even Martin Luther King and Obama, that period of the Black people took close to 80 years. This is important for the young people of Nigeria, including yourself, to understand. I mean, if this is your second time of casting your vote, you are very young in the life of a nation. For us to take over power, Nigeria is a very young nation. We're just 60 plus years. And I'm saying this on the context of we are over 200 million people, 600 languages, 250 ethnic groups. We're looking at different nations in Nigeria. before we can blend as one people is going to take time. And to tell you what, we have done incredibly so much. What we have done in the last 12 months is what will take people 50 to 100 years to be able to accomplish. This is why I'm so happy that you're asking this kind of question on a platform where the whole world is watching, where Nigerians are watching, where Africans are watching, to understand that our struggle is just beginning. In fact, I am even happy that we did not take power straight on, because if we take up, that is, you know why it's called power? It is called power because it is not something that is cheap and small. It is important for us to build capacity. If we can just give up in 1 or 2 circles, then we are not even ready to take power. I give you an example. You see the current president of Nigeria. He has been consistent in what he has been doing for the last 50 years of his life, whatever it is that he has been doing. People who are embedded in taking the life of a nation, people who are criminally minded, people who are opposite of us, have been sowing seed and consistent in what they've been doing for many, many years. But when you come back to us, those of us who claim to be righteous, those of us who claim to be moral, those of us who claim to be on the right path, those of us who claim to be young people, we don't want to pay the price of perseverance. We don't want to pay the price of people like Mandela. We don't want to pay the price of people like Martin Luther King. We don't want to pay the price that it will take for us to get power. I'm telling you, this is why it's important for us to have these kinds of conversation, for the young people to understand that this is just the beginning. If we don't take power in 2023, we will take it in 2027. If we don't take it in 2027, we'll take it in 2031. We must build a resolution that come what may. This is not a fight that we're going to fight just, it's not a career of a lifetime. It's not a 4 years that we're going to spend in school. This is the power of a nation. We are fighting for generations to come. It's not going to come just in one life cycle. I believe that in taking these kinds of message to every place in Africa, to every place in Nigeria, more young people are going to come out, because now they understand why they failed. That's why I told you that voting alone will not give us power. There is what is called negotiating power, but we can't do it here right now. There is also what is called defending your power. We can't do it right now. Young people must, in South Africa, ANC have a school of politics. If you look at the Obedati movement, 90% of obedience, they have the energy and raw power. They are sincere, but they don't understand politics. The determination and the power to withstand people over many periods of time, over 5, 10, 15, 20 years. This is what real power is about. If you look at the people who are in the governance structure in Nigeria today, they've been doing this thing in the last 60 years. If we're able to take up power in the next 4 years, we're going to hold up power for the next 100 years. Who, like nature and like the scripture, because what we are gaming for, because we're like bamboo tree. What we have done right now, people should not even see anything. Right now, we should begin the campaign for the next election. By tomorrow, the judgment that will ratify probably the president of Nigeria is going to be done. We are hoping that they should do the right thing, because it hasn't happened yet. I have hope that they will do the right thing. But should they ratify him, we will continue to build as though we're not going to wait until 2026 or 2025. We will begin the work from now. We'll begin the work from this interview that we're having right now, from this raising consciousness that we're having right now, from this hangout, for young people to understand that we have never come close to power like we have come. And guess what? We actually won. If we didn't win, we wouldn't know that it was stolen. The fact that we know that it was stolen means that we won, which means that in the next circle, we will do what we need to do to defend it and ensure that it is not stolen. This is what we need to do. There is no better time for the young people to galvanize themselves around themselves, ensure that they understand governance, understand politics, begin to school, begin to study, and begin to network. Nigeria need to network from south to the north, from east to west, along one ideological line. that will ensure equity, justice, fairness, that will allow for what? For empathy, for righteousness, the bond that allows for what? For what is true, for what is democratic, for what is inclusive, for what will allow for what? For an enabling public accountability and leadership. We must be aligned around those ideologies. Once we do that, we will not be divided by what? By region, by religion, and by ethnicity. So that when we take over power, we will understand exactly how to run it.
Thank you, Dr. Mo. Bishop, let me see, allow you with your next question.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you for allowing me. Okay, Dr. Mo, as an activist, I'm also an activist, or let me use the word, I was an activist. I understand. Yes, yes. Let me use the word, I was an activist.
Why did you backslide?
Activist as that. Let me give you the reason. So the reason for my backsliding now would lead to the question. Right. So while I backslided, even while I was in the university, those days I was strongly punished. I had to spend extra years in the university as a result of the speaking out of the thing that I did in the university days. So my question now is this: as an activist here in Nigeria, I noticed that we don't have a voice. What I mean by that is that when you come out as an activist, most times we are being silenced by those at the top. So do that thing, is there really I'm trying to look for a way to put the question. As an activist, do you think we have a voice? Yeah. Do you think we have a voice here in Nigeria? I think that thing can fly in other countries, because when you come out in mass, the government wants to listen to you. But the moment you do it here in Nigeria, they tag you to be what do they call them? Not giving the nation a terrorist. So do you think we have a voice here? Because I might likely come back. I'm a dogged, our host, I'm very dogged. Like when you mean the doggedness, even me. I'm an SF to the call, so I'm dogged and I'm wogged. But they've silenced me. So do you think we have a voice here in Nigeria as an activist?
And also, let me, Dr. Mo, just a minute, sir. I want to salute your courage. Even after they declare the present president, to one of the. I was wondering, also is what is your strength? What is the secret of yourself? Just combine the two questions. Also encourage young, active youth like him. Use yourself as an example. Go ahead, sir.
I believe you are still going to country.
Yeah,
I believe Bishop will come back to the country. If I can be here, I led the longest protest in Nigeria. Oh, fantastic. It means I probably get you out tomorrow, because it's important for us to go out tomorrow, if you know what I mean. Anyway, but to be quite honest, I hear you, and I know the frustration. I know what some people have done in governance just to try to stifle dissent voices, like you are saying, and they do that with impunity. They lock us up, they beat us, they tear gas us, they do all kinds of things, just to ensure that people don't voice out what is wrong, don't challenge the government, don't hold the government accountable. There's a place for agitation as an activist, and it is a perfect place to be. But I also need you to understand that there's also a place for advocacy, which is also activism. You can decide to do your activism by going to the court, like people like Gani Farami did, and showed the way, like so many other. Show a young activist and is for office. So there are different ways to do that. You can be an activist by an academician. You can be writing in journals and on social media, and also be holding them accountable. Activism is not only just people who come out on the street. You can be an activist by the songs you write, by challenging the status quo. You can even be a preacher and be an activist. I mean, Martin Luther King was a pastor, And you, of course, you know what happened, even as he was sidelined. Most of the time when we talk about people like him, we don't think of them as pastors of churches, but he was a pastor of a church, you know. And so I'm saying that to say that if you're an activist, what defines you an activist is actually the hurdles that you're able to overcome. If you cannot face tear gas, if you cannot face gun, if you cannot face the opposition, then in any case, you're not an activist yet. Reason comes with a lot of what? Opposition is our strength to be able to withstand the days of evil. That is what makes us activists. You have people like Fela Anikulapo. You have people like Maria Makeba. You have people like Bob Marley who use their conscious songs as activists and they change the landscape of their time. You have people like Charlie Boy who have been doing this, Patrick Tommy, who have been doing this in the last 40. I have been doing this for the last 10 years. Some people will give up at the end of the day. But what I'm saying is that what defines you as an activist is not that you have your way. Mandela was an activist. It took him all his life to become who he wanted to become. Martin Luther King did not even make it. He got killed. Malcolm X, they got killed. Several other people. So what makes us activists is the hurdles, is the challenges. And I can tell you that Nigeria is setting a very good ground for us to have people who are not just professional activists, but who are true activists, who believe, whose purpose are actually that. This is why many people are afraid for my life. And the more you are afraid, the more I'm going against the grain. Because I am doing it for the future of my children, to lay a legacy for people to come. I know people who traveled all the way from the UK, from the US, to come and join us just because I was out there on the street. That is the courage that we must build, you know. And like you rightly said, AY, that I'm trying to get what you said now. You talked about
that even
What
when other obedience gave up after the declaration of Mr. President, as a president, you were still
exactly.
going out, even when they were giving warnings. You know, I was sincerely scared for you as a friend, as a brother, that this guy, you know, I almost even discouraged you one time when we told her, go and rest, bro, don't kill yourself for Nigeria. But what is your strength and what encouragement also have young activists? You've done that. Also, please permit me, because of our time, you to encourage the young people about their vision in life. You know, don't give up. Just talk generally to the youth who also have a vision to achieve success, but because of one challenge or the other, many have given up. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. And I will say this, even though I've started saying it. If the Black Americans who are completely slaves, do you know what it means to be a slave? In the Constitution of America, before people like Martin Luther King, the Constitution says that white is not equal to black. Meaning that if you're a black person, you are not a human being. If the black people in America who were sold off, who many are actually Nigerians who heritage, the likes of TD Jakes, the likes of Beyonce, you can name them. If they can become Hollywood stars, global musical icons, super mega pastors who have influenced the world today, if Black Americans, if a Barack Obama can become president in America, what kind of challenge can we not deal with in Nigeria? Nigeria is a small fry. We're talking about people who were taken in chains, people who the constitution of their country did not equate them with the people. In Nigeria, we are still the same people. We are Christians, we are Muslims, we are pagans, we are Yoruba, we are Hausa, we are Birom, we are Gwari, we are different people living together. We have the right I can run for president if I want to run. In America, they couldn't do that. If they can overcome racial discrimination to ensure that they become who they have become today, that today the best of Black humanity in the world are actually African Americans. No, we have a better chance. We have too much chance. If Mandela can rise up and become who he is in Africa, Nigeria there is no excuse for any youth to give up. In fact, no, the giving up should not be in our vocabulary. If you watch movies like Men of Honor, you will discover that challenges are supposed to make us a better people. Because you see, when you show people who want to place you under that you are better by merit, they will respect you, they will honor you, and they will give you your place. I can tell every black person listening to me, or every human being that is discriminated against, that you have no reason to give up, because people who have come before you, both in the Bible and in the physical, like I've mentioned, have done tremendously. They've broken the chains of slavery, they've broken the chains of tribalism, they've broken the chains of religion, and have risen to the top of their career. They've risen to become who they want to be, whether as activists, as pastors, as academicians, as global musicians, as civil servants. You have no excuse. There is no excuse. There is no giving up. If in your family nobody has become a doctor, then you must become a doctor. If in your community nobody has risen up to take the challenge of global leadership, then you have it. That is, see, Nigeria and Africa, there are too many opportunities that lies everywhere, because there are too many challenges. The problem abounds. The poverty, the tribalism, the religious disparities, they are all challenges for us to overcome. There should be no place. I understand that, especially right now with the inflation, things are tough. But guess what? It is in tough times that tough men are made. When you go back to the scripture, Joseph wouldn't have become who he has become without the tough seasons. Daniel would never have become a global icon without being thrown into the lion's den. So I believe right now in Africa and in Nigeria that the opportunity to become who we need to become is showing before us. But again, we will know whether we are truly patriots and champions by
Thanks
what
so
we
much.
do,
Please,
especially in this critical moment that we find ourselves.
thank you so much, Dr. Mo. Our time is running fast. I want to keep you beyond necessary time. You don't need to abuse it. Thank you. Bishop, prepare for your last question. But before your last question, Bishop, Dr. Mo, I just want to put it to you. As a young, talented person, forgive me to also go to church. I represent young Christian or young talented Christian, and I'm proud to say it. And also, I want to speak for them. The truth remains, the encouragement in church so far has not really been so good. Let me use rhymes. The encouragement in church has not been so encouraging. You see the way the secular people, they are easily embraced, they are easily supported. I've been a victim. You organize a concert. There was a time I did a show. You were even the one that managed it in Sheraton then. I remember. You as a Christian, you want to do a show, a gated show. Church members will not come. Even your church member. So even, how can I pay money to come and watch? They told me when I was selling tickets, with due respect to bros, AY Live is somebody I respect, is a role model, so I'm not crazy. But AY Live will come to do the same show. They will pay 200,000 naira to buy ticket, pay 1 million naira. The same church people. But you are only, your own ticket is just 10,000 naira. They will not encourage. So the encouragement to weak gospel artists, either comedian, singer, spoken word artist, is not there. What do you say to young Christian, talented Christian who are still struggling in church? Should they go out to make, because we need this money? And to be sincere, I'm sorry for using Mr. Ibu as an example. Look at so many talented people today, are they suffering? Nobody to encourage them, nobody to support, begging around. What is your encouragement, before I allow you to go, before I allow Bishop to ask his question? What is your encouragement to young talented people in church?
So I'm going to speak briefly but very quickly. I'll use myself as an example, and I'll use other people. Yes, problem will always abound in church. But again, you need to understand that your talent is not meant for church alone. Whatever you have as good news can feed the entire earth. You should speak about go. If you are singing or you're doing comedy or you're into the creative, you're a poet. The same way a pastor can preach about marriage, he can preach about faith, he can preach about love, he can preach about nation building. You too take your creative art to all over the world and do it. You don't have to limit it. And yes, if you are within the church circle, oh, come on, we have so many church musicians too that are doing well.
Yeah,
Of
of
course, you
course.
know them even in Nigeria here. Yes, and I can say that if you are determined and you continue to push and continue to hone your creativity and continue to learn on how to take advantage of technology, take advantage of different agencies, take advantage of all the other connections that are there, I can assure you that more people will climb up the ladder. Of course, even in the UK or in America or in other places, we don't have all the people up there. But those that are listening to me, if you do what you're supposed to do and you stay on it, the possibility of climbing up is also there. So I would say that I will encourage those in church not to give up. And if you're in a place and you're not getting what you want and you are not being celebrated, come on, there are too many other places that you can go. But I am careful to say that also because so that you don't have people who are not grounded, whose skills are not sharpened, who now begin to run all over the place just because they are looking for, money. Money is a product of service. If you give right service, money is going to come. But I also understand the challenge, especially with the discriminations that happen, but this is my encouragement to you. If you must remain within the church, then be consistent. And if your environment is hostile to you, of course, if you have done all that you need to do, then you can change your environment. Remember, Abraham, God said to him to leave. For Isaac, he says to stay. So you need to know whether you need to stay or you need to go. That you have to do also prayerfully and also seek the counsel of other people and the face of God. If you do that, I can assure you, you will definitely move to the next level.
Thank you so much. Bishop, let's have your last question so that I can release our guest.
Okay, Dr. Mo, thank you for coming once again. I have a son that is a strong follower of yours, Omwawe, that is following you everywhere. Okay, so my take is this. By the grace of God, I'm above 40 and I'm married. What advice would you give to people like me that are not married, that have responsibilities to take care of in terms of this whole political recent thing, this activism thing? What advice will you give to us? Because right now there are responsibilities that are looking up to us. So what advice would you give to us?
We fall into the same bracket, like I said. In the next 10 years, you're going to be spending a lot of money on school fees, home and abroad. Whatever we have to do, if you are within my age bracket, you are 40 and above, you are 50, within that age bracket, I can tell you one thing. Whatever you need to do must be institutionalized. You don't have the luxury of time when we were 20 or even when we were 30, just jumping from here and there. Whatever, if you want to do music, if you want to do whatever career you want to do, you want to go into activism, you must institutionalize it. That's a different to talk about institutionalizing. Is we're going to need a whole studio time to be able to do that. But I can tell you, you don't have the luxury of time to begin to do touch response. You can't be doing trial and error anymore. The era of trial and error is over. Whatever you need to do right now must be institutionalized, and you must begin to also whatever you do, you must check your savings, your account, your family spending. The era of just doing things anyhow is over for you. That's what I can tell you. Now you must be deliberate about the meetings you attend, the friends you make, where you spend your time, because from here onward, we have just about 20 years to do anything that we need to do. Whatever does not have the foundation of institutionalization, drop it. The time for for lack of a better word, for playing games for you is over.
Thank you so much, Bishop. It has been wonderful having you as a co-host. Finally, Dr. Mo, I want to celebrate you. Thank you. Out of no time, you created time. I respect you. I celebrate you. I'll be in Nigeria. I'll be shortly over and over, just like you said. My being here is also to institutionalize my, get here so that we can. One of my favorite quotes is that when your focus is constantly focused on your focus, you'll be a focus. Don't mind me, I call it that. When your focus is constantly focused, you'll be a focus. That means you must have a focus. Be persistent. Persistence weaken resistance. I just want you to drop in 1 or 2 minutes to drop the final message. I know you are also a motivational speaker to our audience, especially what advice you have for them, Nigerian youth all over the world, because time and tide wait for no man. A time is coming when you will not be able to say, like you said, when you are 60, you will not be able to do some certain things, and responsibility will be staring at you. What advice for those who are watching us and those who are going to watch it when we put it?
What I have to say, lastly, in closing, is that for all the young people, if you're listening to me, don't think you have all the time. And don't be tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine. Don't be carried by peer pressure. Whatever you need to do, let it be what? Let it be purpose driven. If you want to carry dreads, if you want to carry your color your hair, if you want to do music, whatever it is you want to do, let it be purpose driven. Know that you don't have all the time in the world. Before you know, you will just realize that the time is gone. Be purpose driven, be focused, like AY would say, and make the right connections. You know, there are people you don't have. We've been gifted with the best of times in life. Technology is a big deal and a tool that we have been gifted with. We must take advantage of it. We must utilize it and ensure that we gain the best from it. I'll say also this, that as much as we have so many options, the the we can be easily distracted. And this is why we must keep saying focus, focus, focus. Because as much as we have so many options today, you realize that there is knowledge all over the place, but wisdom is very scarce. So if you're a young person listening to me, you need to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that you have today. So many of the things that we're saying today, we didn't have it 20, 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, we didn't have it. Take advantage of the values and the qualities of these kinds of engagement and the things that have been said, and ensure that you lead and you live a quality, live your best life, do what you need to do, and ensure that you improve your generation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mo. And those who are watching online, Mommy, Mrs. Modupe, Kabaku, thank you. And so many other people watching us. And those that are still going to work, thank you. Every Wednesday by 5 p.m. is Impact Hangout with AY. I'll be hosting Samuel Folabi next week. He has agreed. The guy that did this kind God, another one, no, they will be a guest for next week. So I advise you to also tune in. Dr. Mo, bless you. As we're talking, you talk about be purpose driven. I want to encourage young people. Dr. Mo carries dread, but he has a purpose for doing that. Don't carry dread because you see Dr. Mo carrying it. Have a purpose for whatever you do in life, because time and time wait for no man. Thank you for being part of this show. One more time, MC Bishop, I appreciate you. God bless you, Rigo, sir. I will talk with you later. I celebrate you. Our viewers online, God bless you, Rigo. Thank you. Thank you, and God bless you.